Hello students, how are you all? I hope all are healthy and fine. I hope you must be waiting to start the studies now. So here we are going to start with the chapter 3 of history, that is the first phase of Indian national movement. So children, if we divide whole of the Indian national movement, that can be classified into three broad parts, or we can divide it into three main parts, that is the early nationalist phase, assertive phase, and the Gandhian era. So early nationalist phase, which was led by the assertive early nationalist leaders, then assertive phase, which was led by the assertive leaders, and Gandhian era, which was led by Gandhiji. So the early nationalist phase, first we are going to take this, which started from the year 1885 to the year 1907. So we call this particular tenure or of 1885 to 1907 as the first phase of the Indian national movement that was led by the early nationalist leaders. So the early nationalists, who were the early nationalists? They were the group of political leaders in India which were active between 1885 to 1907. They were also known as the moderates. They were also called as the moderates because the demands were modest and mild, and they wanted to bring about changes peacefully, as the demands and needs, their aspirations were quite modest, and they wanted to achieve anything from the Britishers in a mild way or in a peaceful method. Therefore, they were known as the moderates. So, early nationalists are also known as the moderates. Why? Because they had the modest, or they were quite moderate in the way of asking or their demands or presenting the demands in front of the Britishers. So, they wanted a larger share of Indians in the governance of country, that is reduction in taxes and government expenditure, economic growth through trade protection and protection of civil rights, etc. So these were the basic demands which was laid by the early nationalist leaders in front of the Britishers. But later on we will see that very few demands which were led by early nationalists were accepted by the Britishers. Now, the members of the group were drawn from the educated middle class. So, basically, the maximum people, those who joined or contributed as an early nationalist, belonged to the educated class, or we can say educated middle class. Most of them were the professionals like lawyers, teachers, and government officials. So, here the mass dealing, or we can say the lower caste society, did not participate or did not believe in the methods which were adopted by the early nationalists. Or we can say there was the no contribution of the masses or the local people. Why? Because most of the group group of the people in the moderates or in the early nationalists came from the educated middle class. They believed that British rule was boon for India. According to the early nationalists, they believed that if the Britishers will stay in our country, it is going to benefit our country. So it was a kind of boon for our country, not a curse for our country to be ruled by the Britishers, because they felt lot of development could be brought in our country through the Britishers. Then the beliefs of early nationalists, that is, the early nationalists had faith in sense of justice, fair play, honesty and integrity of the British. So as I've told you before also, the early nationalists, they believed that if Britishers will be here, so it will be a good beneficial point for the Indians. Why? Because they had a deep faith or had a great faith in the sense of justice and fair play, and they felt that the Britishers are quite honest, and they believed in the integrity of the British, that they will be very very faithful and beneficial for our country. Then it was their hope that the British would grant home rule to Indians. Somewhere early nationalists believe that more or less somewhere Britishers will definitely grant them home rule to rule the country. Home rule means rule by the Indians to rule the country itself. Then they believed that the British rule had many benefits. As I have told you before, also, for example, it aided in cleansing social ills like sati, untouchability. So, because of the Britishers, there were lots of development, or we can say a lot of changes were coming in our society, or ill practices which were followed in our country, that was eradicated, such as sati and untouchability. And if you remember, in last two chapters also we have discussed about the development which was brought by the Britishers, like introduction of railways, introduction of telegraphs and all, postal department. So all these things were quite beneficial for our country. So they believe that if Britishers will rule our country, it will bring benefit to our country only. Then they relied on constitutional and peaceful methods to achieve their aim. So early nationalists, they always use constitutional, everything as per the law, and with a peaceful method they wanted to achieve their aims. And what was the aim of the early nationalists? To get the home rule, a rule, or a state in which Indians are going to rule by the Indians, but the supremacy power or the supreme power will be lying in the hands of Britishers. So actually Indians wanted to rule our country, but under the supervision and guidance of the Britishers. That was the belief of early nationalists. So they were of the opinion that Britain would help Indians govern themselves according to Western standard. So Britain would help the Indians to develop, to uplift the society, to uplift the country to a better standard. They'll give a good standard life to the Indians. Then they said that the main obstacle in India's progress was social and economic backwardness of the Indians and not the British colonial rule. So according to the early nationalists, they said that if India is backward, so it is just because of the ill practices or the social or economic backwardness which we are having in ourselves. It is not because of the Britishers. So now we are going to discuss some of the prominent leaders of the early nationalists. They are W.C. Banerjee or Banerjee, Raj Bihari Ghosh, Sunendranath Banerjee or Banerjee. In some books you will find Banerjee also. R.C. Dutt, Dadabhai Naroji, Gopalakrishna Gokhale, Firoz Shah Mehta, Justice Ranade, P.R. Naidu, S. Subramanian Iyer, Anand Charlu, and Madan Mohan Malviya. So, children, all these were the prominent leaders of the early nationalists, but out of which only three you have to study in detail as per your class 10 syllabus, that is the Dadabhai Naroji, Gopal Krishna Gokhale, and Surendranath Banerjee. You have to study their political contribution as well. So that we'll be discussing in the second video. Now we are going to discuss about the British government's attitude towards Indian National Congress. Okay, how the attitude of the Britishers was in the beginning with the Indian National Congress, how they contributed or how they appreciated in the beginning when the formation of the Indian National Congress was there. So in the beginning the British government looked upon the actions of early nationalists favorably and expressed no animosity towards them. There was no enmity between Britishers and Indian National Congress. Rather, Britishers were supporting the formation of Indian National Congress. Furthermore, a few government officials attended the first sessions of the early nationalists and took part in its deliberation. If we'll recall, you must be remembering that the formation was laid by of Indian National Congress was by A.O. Hume, who himself was a Britisher. So the nationalists were invited to a garden party held by the Viceroy Lord Dufferin in Calcutta in 1886 and another hosted by the Governor of Chennai in 1887. So, as we know, in the beginning, the Britishers were quite pleased they were trying to please the Indian National Congress. Therefore, they invited Lord Dufferin invited nationalist leaders of Indian National Congress to the garden party of the higher officials, of the British officials. But later on, the attitude of the Britishers soon changed. Lord Dufferin tried, the same person who invited Indians, now see, the Lord Dufferin tried to divert the national movement by suggestion to Hume that the early nationalists should devote themselves to social rather than political affairs. So here comes the main idea of the Britishers. The Britishers wanted the political association should be there, but they wanted this particular party, Indian National Congress, should focus more on the social aspect, on the social causes more, rather than the political affairs. So which will be while interfering with the political affairs, that means they are trying to be against or go against of the Britishers. So therefore they wanted Indian National Congress to more work on the social issues rather than the political affairs. Now, aims and objectives of the early nationalists, rather we call it as threefold aims and objectives of the early nationalists, that is, to educate people in modern politics, to arouse national and political consciousness, to create a united public opinion on political questions. So, the gist of all the three aims and objective was to let the people know, or to let the people raise the voices about their needs and demands in front of the Britishers. So it was a kind of a public opinion which was supposed to be created through this political association or this political party. Okay, so and the second point, if you see, they arouse the national and political consciousness. Now people more and more were becoming aware of the national and political reasons and the topics which were going on within the country. So that was the main motto of the early nationalists, what they wanted from the people and from the association. Now here are the methods which are very important. This particular method is asked frequently in board examination, children. In fact, this year also method was also asked in the paper. Okay, so we'll see one by one. The early nationalists believed in peaceful and constitutional method. The way they wanted to propose their demands in front of the Britishers was the peaceful and constitutional method. Then they used press for criticizing the wrong policies of the government. The medium of information, or the medium of for the form to raise the voices against the Britisher, was the press. Through press only they were laying their ideas and views in front of the people. How? Through the criticization, to criticize the things which were not appropriate or which was not correct done by the Britishers. Then they held meetings where the speeches were made. So meetings were organized where people, early nationalist leaders, used to give the speeches. Then resolutions were passed for popular demands. To lay the demands of the Indians in front of the Britishers, various resolutions were passed. Then the early nationalists sent various memorandums and petitions to the government officials. What are the petitions? It is kind of a request which was done by the early nationalist leaders to the Britishers, kind of form of a in a written form, written request which was made to the Britishers. Now here comes the most important point, that is the three P's. The method which was adopted by the early nationalists was composed of three P's, that is petition, prayer and protest. So actually Britishers wanted, they were trying to protest the Britishers, or they wanted to lay the demands in front of the Britishers through petitions and prayer. So that is the three P's, which is very important related to the methods of early nationalists. Now here comes the deputations which were sent to England to influence the British government and the public. Now, what was the deputation? Deputation means a group of leaders or group of people were sent, or representatives we can say, were sent to England to influence the British government and the public, to lay the demands, to lay the needs and problems of the Indians in front of the Britishers. So here these were the methods which were adopted by the early nationalists to raise the voices against the Britishers, which was the part of the Indian national movement. Now in second video, children, I'll be discussing about the leaders which I have told about their life and about their political contribution in our national struggle. Thank you.